on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in. Welcome into the Six Screens Telenetwork. We're so glad that you're able to join us tonight and spend some time with us. Now, we do this every Saturday night. We expose the Jehovah's Witness organization. People are really beginning to understand how dangerous and how destructive they are. And we have a number of programs, about 14 different programs running here on the Six Screens, and that's what we do. We expose the Jehovah's Witness Watchtower organization. And we have a couple coming on tonight from South Carolina, Dick and Constance Boghi, and they'll be exposing the Watchtower and giving their feelings on it. And they'd love to hear from you. So by all means, why don't you tune in and listen to them tonight, stay with them, and even give them a call. The telephone number's on the bottom of the screen on YouTube and Facebook. And if you're on our radio telephone line, all you have to do is hit *6, and that'll bring you in. So by all means, bear that in mind. So let's bring Constance and Dick on with us right now. Add them to the stage. There they are. Hello, Dick and Constance.
Hey, Rick.
So there they are. So they're ready to go. They're at the starting line. They're going to have a good show tonight, I'm sure. So anything in particular you guys are going to be discussing tonight?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the fairness of the way the Jehovah's Witness organization treats the sisters. That's going to be something we're going to be talking about halfway through our program. I just want to touch on a few little things that I've heard on Six Screens. But before on YouTube. But before I get into that, I just want to mention to the audience, kind of backing up what Rick was saying, Six Screens is a wonderful platform to be on. If you watch YouTube, you're going to learn a lot of good stuff about how Jehovah's Witness organization really works. You're going to, on YouTube, there are some wonderful channels. People have done lots of research and people that know what they're talking about. Six Screens is a little different because it's interactive. You can call in, you can talk to us, you can talk to Rick, you can say whatever you want to say as long as you're not screaming or using pornography or any bad words. And it's cathartic. And you can maybe even hook up with somebody like I hooked up with Connie 4 years ago or so. You can hook up with people that think the way you do and feel the way you do. Or if you're just coming out of the cult, you can hook on to someone that is experiencing the same things you are. Something that I found kind of amusing on on YouTube was a statement by one of the brothers. One of the Jehovah's Witness governing body members come out and said, Jehovah God and Jesus trusts us with making these decisions on the dress code. If you think about it for a minute, Jehovah and Jesus has to trust an imperfect human as to what the dress code should be. I mean, when you think about it, it's ludicrous. But there are so many people that even though they hear crazy stuff from the Watchtower, okay, well, that must be how it is. I was one like that, till 75 kind of like made me question things little at a time. I didn't question everything in, one big thing, one big challenge to the elders and stuff like that. But little things over the years just started, gee, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. But anyway, folks, really what I want to start off with is I'm very blessed to have a wonderful woman right by my side. Her name is Connie. She's wonderful. She's very, very bright. And she graduated top of her class from Notre Dame.
Dinnermere University.
Dinnermere University.
Belmont, California.
Belmont, yeah, I think it was the #1 women's college in the country, and she graduated very top of her class. She has a bachelor's degree, and she's 70 years old. So she has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, but yet she couldn't give counsel to a sister because Connie is not a man and Connie isn't an elder. But she could handle she could give a lot of good advice to sisters, but she would not be allowed in the Jehovah's organization. In that cooperation, she would not be allowed to give counsel. Elders would never send a young sister to Connie.
No, never. That would never happen. Because it's a male-dominated organization. It's all patriarchal. And the women are treated as second class.
You know, elders you always believe that elders are going to give you the right information. But if you're not trained, they can't give you the right information.
Mm.
You know, in order to have a degree in psychology, you know, you have to do your bachelor's, your master's, you know, you've got to know your stuff. You got to pass tests. These people that, like the guys who are counseling me or judging me, one guy drove a school bus, the other one sold Snap-on tools, and the other one painted houses. I'm not saying these guys are dumb, but they're not trained either.
Mm-hmm.
Would you get in a plane with Elon Musk as a pilot if he was never trained? The guy's brilliant, no doubt about it. But if he wasn't trained as a pilot, would any airlines allow him to fly just because he had a high IQ? Of course not. Of course not. So you have to be trained. But they expect elders to understand the law. They expect elders to be counselors, to be expert in finances, expert in the Bible, and they're just not.
In family relationships,
And
raising children, grandchildren. Not all elders have children. Many of them do not. There are some that do, but I knew many of them that didn't have children.
Yeah, well, one of the elders that was counseling me, you know, when I had been into adultery, he didn't have any kids.
Mm.
You know, oh, you got to do this for your kids. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that subject of adultery wasn't on the table, but he had come
Right.
to me about the way my boys were acting, or how he thought they should act, or they should be out in service by now, and that type of stuff, you know. But
Right.
he didn't have any kids.
Right. And a lot of them don't because they're waiting for the new system.
I was just thinking, you know, they go to the elders, go to the elders, go to the elders. Well, the elders in the Philippines, maybe 10 years ago, were told it was a hurricane, or they call it a typhoon over there, was coming on shore and was going to bring, you know, a tidal wave with it.
Yeah.
So the elder calls up all the members and he's, go to the Kingdom Hall. You'll be protected there. Well, that tsunami hit the Kingdom Hall, killed everybody.
And the waves probably were like 75 feet tall.
Yeah,
Weren't they, Rich? I mean,
yeah, they were
when you have
high.
a typhoon and a tsunami, it's unbelievable. The destruction is massive. And it showed pictures of it. The Kingdom Hall, remember?
Yep.
The circuit overseer was there. It was on a YouTube channel, and the Kingdom Hall was destroyed. A lot of witnesses were killed in that tsunami typhoon.
One thing that I find kind of humorous now that I've been out for 35 years now is that they're always talking about New Light when I was in there. Anytime they wanted to change a policy or something, it's New Light. Well, if they had Jehovah's Spirit originally, if they had it legitimately, there would be no need for New Light, because our Heavenly Father doesn't lie. He doesn't give misdirection. They have changed their policy on how many things. And without me just rapping and just reading off 6 or 7 of them, what is someone please call? Go ahead.
Somebody's trying to.
Yes, it's King of the Dots. And I'll tell you what, you grew on me, and I really enjoy you and your wife's company. But I will tell you this, one of the last straws for me is when I started to realize the longtime elders, the real pillars in the congregation, they were doing the assembly talks and everything. They weren't keeping up on anything. And you could fall behind quickly with all the nuance. For instance, a brother who I used to associate with him, we'd go to high school football games. He'd come over and play pool at my house. He went to Brooklyn Bethel. He's probably the overseer now. But he was there on 911. And he told me the whole story. They went up on the roof to look at it, and they ordered them off the roof, get inside, the smoke is toxic, close the windows, everything. But he's a single brother, and there was the society put out an edict. You don't want to have a single brother stunning with homosexuals. And similarly with women, stunning with someone who's a lesbian. But I'm out in Filsters with the congregation overseer. He was overseer for the last 40 years. And this brother, and there was a Bible study that he was trying to get started with a homosexual couple of men. And he assigned Tony to be the studier for them. It's like, I didn't say anything, okay? Out of respect for the brother. He's kind of a hunchback type brother. But anyway, it was just appalling to me. What the hell? 2 homosexuals. He wanted the single brother to study with them. But you know what? It got to be that way all the time with most of the longtime elders. They weren't even up to the knowledge. We kept up with what the organization said. They weren't even up to it. And then they're going to put you in a judicial committee? My God. It was just a disaster waiting to happen. And that's my humble comment. Jay.
Well, thank you, King of Dots. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's an interesting comment because Jehovah's Witnesses are all over the place on anything to do with sex, homosexuality, bisexual stuff, bestiality. They're all over the place. They have, we had a caller years ago come in and said that he told people at Bethel that he was homosexual. Well, they confronted him. They said, well, we're going to send you up to the farm. Up at the farm, they had, I guess, like barracks, and they had a lot. They put all their homosexuals up there, and they will study with homosexuals. They go to prison, and they have a prison ministry. Well, everybody knows what happens to 2 males that you lock up in the same cell for 5 or 6 years. You know, chances are great that they are going to be doing oral copulation on each other because that's what happens in prison.
Or sodomy, Rich.
Well, yeah, or that too. Or that too. So when it comes to sex, the Watchtower is just crazy. They get a deal going right now that if you're an elder and you've committed adultery, but it was 5 or 6 years ago, that as long as the congregation still has respect for you, you could remain an elder as long as it was 5 or 6 years ago. Well, I wish I would have known that 35 years ago. When I committed adultery, they offered me the elder's job, and I turned it down. I didn't want to judge somebody for doing something I had done. And, well, you all know the story. I was disfellowshipped. I lost my family, my house, my cars, my sister, my parents were ticked up. I mean, I suffered a lot for that adultery. But today, if you're an elder and you committed adultery, just keep it hush hush for 5 years, and then you can tell the congregation, tell your wife, or if it's reversed. Well, you don't necessarily even have to tell your wife, I guess. I mean, I did, but
those are all man-made rules.
They're
Rich.
all
that's the thing that the audience needs to know.
They
Those are all
change
man-made rules from the organization.
all the time. And I've mentioned this on six screens
Mhm.
a dozen times since I've been doing this for 20 years. And that is that my, my sister-in-law, Mabel, who was a former pioneer, decided she wanted to have anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses.
No, she was born in, right?
She was born in, or
Mhm.
just about
Pretty
she was
much.
3 or 4 years old,
Yeah.
when the
Pretty
family
much
converted, right?
Yeah.
That's all she ever knew was JW stuff.
Right, right.
She wore Santa Claus on her lapel. One of the elders caught it because they worked at the same company. We all worked at the same company. And they pulled her into a judicial meeting. She wouldn't go. They gave her 2 or 3 tries. She wouldn't go. So they disfellowshipped her. Well, we couldn't talk to her because she was disfellowshipped. And she used to babysit for us. And then 6 months after that, a Watchtower came out and says, you can talk to them now. You can have them over for dinner. You have them in your house. Be kind and loving to them and try to recondition their mind the way Jehovah thinks.
Mhm.
So that's what we did. We had her over the house for dinner and she babysitted the kids. Then they came out with another Watchtower.
Mm.
This was in the around 83, 84,
Mm.
85, right in there.
Mhm.
Came in with another Watchtower, and they said, we're going back to our previous
Wow.
our previous position.
Mhm.
So how do they justify that? They said that Ray France wrote the articles before he got disfellowshipped, or before he wrote the book, Christ is a Conscience. So if you have to blame someone, blame him. Well, we all know there's a lead time up to it gets written by the writing committee, and then it gets reviewed by the governing body, and then it goes through a whole chain of command, so to speak, before it hits the printing presses, and before the printing presses get him to the congregations. So they knew it was coming, but they just did a 180.
Well, Ray Franz left when the big shakeup was in Bethel in 80-81. 80-81 was when they had the big shakeup at Bethel. So when you're saying like 83, 84, 85, they were trying to pass the buck and put the blame on Ray Franz.
That's right.
When it really was the governing body currently at that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know what I'm saying?
So
They don't take any accountability for their own actions. They want to just put the blame on someone else.
the point being, these man-made decisions they come up with,
Mhm.
whether it's the blood doctrine, saluting the flag, joining the military, these are all
College education,
your college education. These
whatever.
are all
They're all
man-made,
man-made.
all man-made,
Yeah.
and they're subject to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all the predictions that they've made, Armageddon's coming 1914, 1925, 1975, and then all through those years, it was strongly suggested that we're living in the final parts of the final days of the final, whatever, it's coming tomorrow. And of course, it never comes.
And they're not even talking about that so much now, Rich, with the witnesses that are in right now. They're not. In fact, the latest I heard is they said you might not even see the new system or Armageddon in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So they're not putting a lot of emphasis on that anymore versus a time when we were in.
The internet did that to them.
Oh yeah, the
Because
internet.
the internet has exposed
Mhm.
all the false prophets,
That's a good
prophecies that they have.
thing. Mhm.
And incidentally, if you prophesied in God's name in the nation of Israel, and that prophecy didn't come true, you got a very violent death. They threw you in a hole and they stoned you to death. That's what happened to a false prophet nation of Israel in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And really, that should really, if the governing body was alive in the days of Israel, every one of those Jeffrey Jackson and all those people, they'd be stoned to death.
And the reason for that is because they are supposedly representing Almighty God. And so whatever they say they're the channel of communication for God and to dispense that information to the witnesses. But the problem with that is if the information is incorrect, which it has been, then that's a very poor reflection on Almighty God. And it makes God look like the liar. That's what it is. That's why it's such a serious offense. So if someone claims to be a prophet, they better be sure that they're totally inspired by God, and what they do prophesy is true, and it does come from Almighty God. But with Watchtower, when you look at the history, and we always really recommend people, because there's always new listeners, and we'd love to have you on here tonight. Do your own research. Don't be afraid. You'll be really amazed. And one thing that's really going to open up your eyes is the book Crisis of Conscience by Ray Franz. That book is unbelievable. In fact, that was one thing, Rich. Since 75, we were before 75. So since 75 came and went, then it was around 80, 81. And that's when there was the big shakeup in Bethel. And it was with the governing body member, Ray Franz. And he left. He didn't do anything wrong, but his issue was there was a crisis between what Watchtower was teaching and what his Bible-trained conscience had taught him. And that's the name of the book, Crisis of Conscience. And there's really nothing to be afraid of, because you get to see the really inside scoop of the governing body and how they operate. And boy, I tell you, it will open up your eyes about this organization.
Yeah, that is so true.
Mhm.
This organization is floundering. They're hoping to keep people in by telling them, don't go on YouTube, don't go on Six Screens,
Right.
don't listen to apostates, don't read Crisis of Conscience. There's hundreds of books out there.
Mhm.
And they're also have a campaign going on where they used to send some of their representatives to these Christian bookstores to get all the JW literature from the 40s, 50s, and 60s to buy it so they can destroy it.
Yeah, so the witnesses can't read their own history.
There you go.
Mhm.
When you go to the Kingdom Hall,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I think it's from 1985 backward. They've taken all the books out. So you don't need them.
And remember, Rich,
Yeah.
when we were in back in the day, they would have, I never really did look at the library, but I do know this, that in some Kingdom Halls, they had, studies in the scriptures. They had
Yeah.
a lot of the old books. Apparently, I guess people could check them out if they wanted to, but not anymore. Not anymore. And why is that? Well, because there's so many fallacies. There's so many lies and false predictions, and Watchtower's really crumbling. And you know what? And the internet, oh my gosh, the internet is exposing this organization left and right. It really, really is.
If this organization was following Jesus Christ, what did Jesus Christ say to the rich young man? Sell everything and follow me.
Mm.
All right.
Mm.
What is the Watchtower doing? I guess AI has told us that they have $52 billion in their coffers. And
That's a
then,
lot of money.
and their
Rich.
net worth, with real estate holdings and so forth, is a number we'll never know. But it's not the millions, it's in the billions. It's really in the billions. And what are they doing with this money? They're buying real estate. They're investing
They're
in
investing.
they're investing in companies that their sole purpose, like Rad Company and
Raytheon.
Raytheon.
Yeah, right.
It's just
Hollywood, movies and so forth. They're and even what's the one with the tobacco? What's it called?
AJ Reynolds.
Morris, yeah.
Yeah, Morris, AJ Reynolds.
Right.
Those
tobacco.
companies,
Mhm.
they're investing in studios
Do your
that
research.
produce
You'll find it. True.
porn. That's it.
Mhm.
Porn. They produce porn.
Yeah.
But are they going to give any money to a Pioneer? Sister, are they going to help them with the gas?
No.
They can help them with the rent. When you've got billions of dollars, they knocked the Catholic Church. Okay, Catholic Church.
We were Catholic before.
We were both
We were
Catholic.
witnesses.
The Catholic Church
Mhm.
still has a very checkered history. But if you go to the Catholic Church, to St. Vincent de Paul, and say,
I need food or something.
I need food,
Mhm.
you'll get it.
Oh yeah.
And who does Jehovah's Witness?
Mhm.
They'll knock the Catholics, excuse me, in other religions, but these other religions have food pantries. My former church had a food pantry.
Mhm.
My former church every Sunday after services, they said, bring your kindly worn shoes and socks and
Or
stuff.
coats and
Yeah, and
jackets.
to the
That's a
church.
That's a big
And then
thing
we
in the
invite
winter.
the homeless in, and they
Yeah.
come in and they take what they want.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever do that at a Kingdom Hall?
No.
No?
You know, one thing I really loved, Rich, when I lived in California is serving the homeless. And not just the people who have issues with drug and alcohol are homeless. Sometimes it's working families. Sometimes it's an issue with regards to losing their own physical health, and then everything spirals, right? They get very sick, heart issues maybe. Now they can't pay the mortgage or the rent, and they're evicted. I mean, it can be something that easy and that simple that can just absolutely devastate a person. So I worked with this clientele, and I just love being able to serve them. It wasn't like Health and Human Services that you had to have all these verifications with their income and where they lived, were they in your county, and all those verifications. No, you just are out there and you're serving people. San Francisco, there was a church right on Mission Street. Forget the name of it. I just know it's up on a hill and it's red, something. Anyway, and we'd go in there on a Saturday, me and a couple of friends, and we were serving literally on a Saturday morning between 8 o'clock. Well, excuse me, we'd be there by 8, and then from 9 o'clock till 12 noon, which is 3 hours, we had served 1,000 people in San Francisco. I mean, it was so well organized. It was unbelievable. People came around, they got carrots, they got potatoes, they got, everything. It was like a big horseshoe. And it felt so good to be able to help people like that because they needed it. People really, and today with everything being so darn expensive and people are having a difficult time meeting, their expenses, it feels good to be able to help people in that regard. So what's my point? You never see Watchtower do that. Never. And look at how wealthy they are. Go ahead, please. Mm-hmm.
In 2 weeks, if they don't change the policies on Capitol Hill, 40 million people will be without SNAP benefits, and the federal workers, who are all very nice families, will be without paychecks.
Mm-hmm. And SNAP is welfare. It's food stamps.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, 40,
Yep.
the number, I had to be corrected on the number. The number nationwide is 40 million. So factor that in.
40 million people on SNAP, right? That's what you're saying, Pixie?
That's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
then factor in also the professional class of people who work for the government, not just in Washington, but people that work for federal jobs in all the 50 states. If they don't bring the government back, those people will need the food banks as well.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's such a sad thing. I don't want to get into the politics of it. I certainly do understand what Schumer's trying to do, and they just want illegal aliens to stay in the country and feed them.
But the thing is that, I used to have clients, of course, being an eligibility worker before I became a social worker. And the thing is, if clients are not income eligible, they're over income based on their household, whether it's one person, 2, 3, 4, based on the income. I would always tell them, just go to the food banks. The food banks, you don't have to have any verifications. And so that's always something to consider for people. Because I'll tell you, people will absolutely, I've seen it, they will go absolutely ballistic when there's no food for themselves or their families.
Mm-hmm.
They turn into like animals. So I'm just telling you, there's always food banks, but just keep that in mind. Mm-hmm.
Star 6, you like to.
That
Go
was
ahead,
my
please.
point. This is going to be 40 million people if they don't solve the paperwork on it. And hungry people are hard to deal with.
Oh, yeah, I know that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, Dick and Connie.
Yeah. Hi, Joe.
Hey, it's RJ.
Oh,
Okay.
hi, RJ.
Sorry.
Hello there.
Hey, I guess I want to stay on topic here.
Yep.
I know last week you talked about like your vows when you're getting baptized. Well, if the organization keeps changing as rapidly as they are, shouldn't like our vows when we were baptized be voided by now?
Yeah, you would
I've
think
always
so.
thought about that too.
Yeah.
Yep. I've always thought about that. Or I've always thought about people who were married as JWs. I mean, I know they claim to be Christians, but they're not Christians and they're just really a corporation.
You know,
Are those vows, are they valid?
I wondered about that because I got baptized for the sole purpose of not dying in Armageddon.
Legal because they have to file at the courthouse.
Yeah, right. Right.
Well,
And I think what they, I think the whole spiel, what you agreed to now is different than when I was baptized. Like, I think you almost have to like pledge to the organization, and I don't remember that in my
when I got
baptism.
baptized-
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me cut you off.
Yeah.
When I got baptized, it was baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too. Yeah.
And then somewhere in the late 80s, or maybe maybe earlier,
Drink your water.
yeah, maybe earlier, excuse me.
And then it changed as time went on.
They changed it
Yeah.
to Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and Jehovah's Spirit-driven organization.
No, it was Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Mhm.
Then they changed it to Father, Son, Spirit-driven organization.
Same thing.
So it wasn't four,
thing.
but it was three. Yeah. So, but basically, you're worshiping the organization. You're worshiping the governing body.
Mhm.
That's idolatry.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
And if you check, like even on JW.org, their definition of Holy Spirit is completely different than
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
Bible teaches or mainstream Christianity. They think it's like if you do, you know, what Jehovah wants you to do or what the organization guides you on, then you're blessed with his
Active
favor.
force.
But
Remember?
that's not what the Holy Spirit is.
They thought that it was active force. The Holy Spirit was an active force. Remember? And then the other thing, they think that Jesus is, you know, Michael the archangel. Oh my gosh. That is so far off base. That is not even Christian. That's not even Christian based at all from the Bible. They are
And you know,
out there. Mhm.
when I talk to people and I find out where they're coming from, if they say they go to church or they say they're Christian or interested in it, I always give the analogy of Jesus was he was like the undercover boss.
Mm.
You can go over all the spreadsheets and all you want, but you kind of got to work a couple shifts. You kind of got to know what your employees are going through. And
Mhm.
And in the New Testament, that's, you know, God becoming a man and living the human experience. And if you reject that, you know, the Bible doesn't have much for you.
Well, you get that right. You get that right. When I was doing a little outline for the program tonight, I wanted to point to women's positions in the Kingdom Hall. And I alluded to that women don't have any leadership positions really, and they're not really used as counselors for anything. That's always, you know, a male dominant thing that they did.
Mhm.
I can remember when I got baptized, I was 25 years old, and I was a hard charging guy, and I wanted to do everything because Armageddon was going to come in 2 years anyway, and I wanted to do everything I could. So right after my baptism, which I think was on a Saturday or something,
Yeah, Saturday.
I think the very
Saturdays.
next Saturday, I was up in field service. I put a suit on and I read my Watchtower magazines, and I'm ready to go. I had never, ever taken the lead because I just got baptized.
Mm.
I walked into the Kingdom Hall, and I'm the only brother, and there's like 6 or 7 sisters.
Mhm.
Like, well, brother, you have to take the lead. What do I do?
Mm.
Well, here's the text. read the text, and make comments on it.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading something from Ezekiel. I didn't know. I was guessing at what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, all right, one sister put a handkerchief or something on her head and said that you have to assign the groups to different people. So I got a sister in her 70s. She's been a Jehovah's Witness probably all her life. She raised her hand, Brother Boghi, can I go with Sister so-and-so on a back call?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was embarrassed for her. I was embarrassed for myself. Who am I to take the lead? I just got baptized the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So they make the sisters in this subservient role.
Oh, yeah, big time.
When I was in the military and I was a private first class, I did what Lance Corporals told me to do because they outranked me, and I just did what they told me to do. And because I did that, I became promoted to a Lance Corporal. And I was a Lance Corporal. I did what corporals told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the best I could as a Lance Corporal, and I was promoted to a corporal.
Mm-hmm.
And then from a corporal to a sergeant. When I was a sergeant, I did what staff sergeants and gunnery sergeants told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that I deserved to tell other people of lesser rank what to do because I did it when I was a lesser rank.
Mm-hmm.
In the Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're a woman, you're the lowest rank that possibly could be.
And there's no elevation. There's no, there's no promotion whatsoever. The sisters are primarily the ones who
are relegated to, they do the householder, which is basically just giving the sales pitch.
Right.
Yep.
Or out in field service, and they can pioneer, and that's about it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You're
And
right.
also, if you're on the Reddit page and you hear other people's experience, and then you go back and you look at how things were, it's a lot easier for a woman to get this fellowship than it is a man.
Oh, yeah. If a woman...
Because, they can use ministerial servants and elders. That's free volunteers. But women, they discard them when they don't have a use for them.
That's right. That's
Mm-hmm.
very true. I really wanted to, is this good time to open this up, Rich?
Sure.
What I really wanted to talk about tonight in reference to this, we know there's a whole new audience of people listening in, and we're so happy that you're here with us. Don't be bashful if you want to call in. You don't have to give your name. We'd love to hear from you. But the point I'd like to address is, sisters really get the short end of the stick when it comes to Watchtower. They're not respected. I think the only ones that get some kind of respect are probably the ministerial servants' wives and the elderettes. The elderettes is a term we use for the elders' wives. But overall, women in that organization are just like the Mormons. They're second class. That's the absolute truth about that. Even the circuit overseer's wife.
Connie?
Yes.
Hi. I'd like to give my experience when I was a sister in the organization. My name is Nicole.
Yes. Hi, Nicole.
Yeah. So if you're hearing jingling in the background, it's because I'm at work. Anyway, I remember on two different occasions when I was a regular pioneer.
Okay.
There was this one occasion just before convention. This brother had a business where he hired only witnesses to work for him, and I was one of those.
Okay.
And we were in our employee meeting room, chit-chatting about convention and what is expected and so on. Back in the day, they prepared meals for you, the sandwiches and stuff.
Right.
You were told not to bring your own meals,
Right.
and not to go out and purchase meals because the society provided meals for you. You just had to buy a meal ticket and you're staying within the convention ground, so you're not leaving.
Right.
So during the conversation, I mentioned to some witnesses that were there, I mentioned that I can't eat the food that the society prepares
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Yes.
I can't eat the food that the society prepares for us because I didn't know it was a food allergy back then, but I used to get very sick. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So one brother who was an elder, he said to me, well, then what are you going to do? I said, well, if I can't prepare something for myself at home, I know a store where I can go get my food.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, oh, no, you're not going to be doing that. And I'm like, well, why not? I can't have this food. It makes me sick. So he said, are you saying that Jehovah is the one making you sick? And I'm like, no, I'm saying the food is making me sick. I can't have food. So if I have to go out, I'm going to go out and buy my food. He said in front of everyone, you are made of disfellowship and material. Right there, you're made of disfellowship and material. And if you don't want to lose your status as a regular pioneer, you would listen to theocratic direction. And I'm pretty much a tough type of person, but when he said that in front of everyone, I just started crying. Because how old was I? I think I was 22 or 23. I just started crying when he said that. And then his wife said to him, you shouldn't have to tell her that in front of everyone. You should have put her aside and tell her that she was being disobedient to the organization, that she needed to listen to the organization. That's one experience that I had. Another experience was something similar. I was on a quick build. Back then, that's what they call it, quick build. And the hall took about 2 weekends to be built. Okay? That's how fast they used to build it back then. And again, I couldn't have the food because whatever they were doing, it was
maybe you're allergic to the gluten. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was possible at the time. Now I know what it is. Okay. So I said, I think I'm going out to get some food. And a brother who was an elder at the time, he heard. He said, excuse me, sister, excuse me. Where do you think you're going? I said, I'm going out to get food. No. Oh, no. You're not doing that. You're one of those sisters who don't like to listen. Okay? And you're going to listen to me today. You're going to stay here and you're going to eat what we prepare for you.
Wow.
He just went in on me.
Wow.
I didn't go anywhere because I was so afraid. And at the same time, I didn't eat the food because when I'm rolling and tossing in bed in pain, I have nobody to help me.
Right, exactly, Nicole.
So those were my two examples, and that's only two of them. I've had numerous confrontations for my own choices that wasn't breaking any of their rules. I had numerous confrontations with elders who think that I am a rebellious person, so much so that when one threatened to let the elders in my congregation know how disobedient I was and that there was away my ability to regular pioneer, I was like, okay, do it then. Do it. And even before I did it, I went to the elders in my congregation and I said, you know what? I don't want to be a regular pioneer.
Right.
Well, why not? I don't want to be a regular pioneer anymore. This is my choice.
Yep.
But it's the way that sisters I don't know for now, but the way sisters are treated,
it's horrible.
It's appalling. It's really appalling. That's my two stories.
Well, thank you, honey. Thank you so much for coming on. I would just like to add to that, today there's so many things in the food that they add, so many chemicals that people are just becoming very allergic. Like gluten, for example. Gluten is the real sticky stuff that they have in bakery goods, in breads, everything. And it's like a gooey substance. It's known as gluten. And so many people have food sensitivities. Gluten is one of them. Wheat is another. Another one are seeds, any kinds of seeds, peanuts, any kinds of seeds, nuts. People cannot eat these things. And I was going to say that brother that was coming down on you, Nicole, it just really showed how very ignorant he was,
Narcissistic.
and narcissistic. It had nothing to do with you being
my best friend.
Yeah, excuse me, Pixie. It had nothing to do with you being rebellious. Okay. It had everything to do with you taking care of your health. Okay. Number one, he was not going to be suffering the gastrointestinal problems that you were suffering at night by eating the foods that you were not allowed to eat. Number one. And number two, he was not going to be paying for your medical bills. All right. And so then what they do is they turn around and use it as a blackmailing threat that you're a rebellious sister and, we're going to take away your privileges. I would have said, do me a favor, fine. And, honey, I'm glad that you got off the list of being a regular pioneer. Okay. You were just free labor for Watchtower. But they always have to use something to try to usurp you and then, use it against you as a blackmail. And let me tell you, the women are treated like total shit. I'm sorry to swear, but that's exactly how they're treated in this organization.
Connie is
They
so
are.
right.
They are.
The Watchtower will tell you not to get an education. Now, how that shakes out over the course of time is you have a lot of elders, ministerial servants that don't have an education, they don't have good jobs, and they're in submission to their bosses. So they never get a chance to be a boss. But they sure in heck get that chance when you're a Jehovah's Witness elder, ministerial servant. Now you can tell people sister, you better not go out to a restaurant. You have to eat right here. Well, actually, the reason you have to eat right here is not obedience to Jehovah. You have to eat right there. For us, it was Natick, Massachusetts, where we had a big assembly hall.
Yeah.
But you have to eat there because they make big profit on the food. They don't pay the people that are serving the food or the restaurant or whatever.
Right.
They make a really big profit selling those tickets. And I always remember.
Okay. So that's what it came down to. And if they don't sell all the tickets, then Watchtower doesn't make as much money.
Well, another thing is
that what you're saying?
Well, I can remember one time.
Because there's a reason behind it financially.
I had 2 kids, and I'm wondering if I have enough gas money to get home. So I got all these tickets that we didn't use.
Yeah.
Can I trade these in and maybe get a couple of bucks?
No.
Oh, no.
No, you can't.
Oh, we can't. That's we don't do that. Period.
See, now that's a red flag right there. Remember, they always wanted you to be able to buy those tickets in advance before the first day of the convention. Yeah. So Watchtower, behind all of them, everything that they do is all about money. Now, I'd like to say something else about the women in the organization, because boy, we could have a conversation on this, girls, for months. I was a single sister in the congregation. And I was perfectly fine with that. I really was. I was not going to get married to one of these narcissistic brothers. I'll watch my language tonight because I could call him something else. But anyway, say, for example, you have a situation where you have a brother and sister that are baptized witnesses. Okay. This happens so often. And they're both baptized witnesses. They're married. Things start going south on their marriage. And, say he commits adultery. Okay. So they end up getting a divorce. But this is the catch. The catch is she cannot remarry. Okay. Say for example, he didn't, how do I describe this? She's very suspicious of him committing adultery. Let's put it that way.
She thinks she did.
Yeah, she's very, and as women, we know that stuff, right? We've got that sixth sense, that woman's intuition. Yeah, we definitely know. But he's not admitting to it. Okay, but then just say there's some abuse going on in the marriage. Like I say, it's going south. And so she's able to get a divorce. She's able to get a divorce in the marriage. But then Watchtower has the stipulation, that sister cannot remarry. She cannot remarry unless she knows for a fact that her husband has committed adultery. So in the meantime, the rest of her life, she's in absolute limbo of not being able to remarry. She has to remain single in order to please Jehovah. Now, come on, women. We know how this all works. When men have had nookie, when they've been married, okay, I talk real, okay? And there's a divorce, you know they're going to be looking for nookie, all right? That's just how men are. So, you know, she's got to suffer the rest of her life and not be able to remarry according to the rules of this crazy cult. And that just puts people in so much anxiety, depression, financially it affects them. I mean, let's face it, when a couple gets married, okay, you know, you're making more money than if you were just a single sister. Those generally are the facts, okay? Or say you're both married, you know, you got income coming in, but when a woman gets divorced, you know, her income just plummets for the most part. Not all women, but many women, that's the case. And the men, they're able to build up their income. So it's very unfair that Watchtower puts this, it's a rule that you cannot remarry unless you have scriptural grounds. And yet, you know they're having nookie. You know that they're committing adultery. But then he's not going to confess because, you know, maybe he wants to be passive aggressive and just doesn't really want to. He just wants her to suffer for the rest of his life. Maybe that's what it is. The games, the head games. So I'd like to hear somebody's feedback on that. That's something that I never.
Again, if he marries again, she can. What I was going to say was, I understand totally about the food allergy thing, and that just shows how ignorant they are with anything medical.
Yeah.
And the blood policy, it's mostly the pregnant women who die because that's where the blood is most needed in emergency. I don't know the statistics exactly, but women suffer more problems in that organization than the men by far.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the Mormon church, you can stand up and give your little speech. They don't even let us stand up on stage, but hey, that's how it is.
Yep. Well, they're a patriarchal society too, as well, but Watchtower's the worst, and it's just very, very sad. I would like to, you know, now they have this thing, you know, there's so much, this is like the elephants in the room that people don't want to talk about. What about all the domestic violence that goes on behind closed doors in Watchtower? I don't care if it's a circuit overseer. I don't care if we don't have district overseers anymore, but a district overseer. I don't care if it's an elder, a Kobe, or whatever. Okay. Do you realize that domestic violence happens? It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do even with religion. It doesn't have anything to do with how wealthy or how poor someone is. Socioeconomics have nothing to do. Domestic violence is across the board. You have judges, you have police officers, you have, just name it. It's all across the board. It doesn't matter. It's not just the poor, the underprivileged, the marginal people. No, not at all. And in Watchtower, because of their rules about women treated like total garbage, you know, it's very common. Okay, that's one thing that really woke me up. And let me tell you, I was livid when I found out a very close friend of mine was being abused, physically abused. I mean, she's very fortunate she wasn't killed. And yet the elders, they didn't do anything to help her. They didn't. She had to get a restraining order, and she had to take her 3 kids and herself and run to get, you know, help. It was very scary. So what? He's a Kobe. He's a circuit overseer, whatever. And he's treating his wife, knocking her around because he's got to put her in place. And you know what they said to my friend? They said, "Are you being submissive to your husband?"
Yeah.
And then the other thing they said, "Are you giving him his dues?" Oh man, I would have kicked him somewhere where the guy would have never been able to walk again saying that. I mean, you know, they treat women like total crap in this organization. And women need to really just stand up and see what it is, because this has nothing to do with God, and it certainly has nothing to do with love.
Yeah. I'd like to go back into the Old Testament and say, well, this is how it was done in the Old Testament. Well, they do that when it's convenient for them. In the Old Testament, they stoned people if they were caught in adultery, usually the woman. That story that's famous in about John 8.
Rich.
Yeah, absolutely. Where the woman was accused of adultery.
Mhm.
So they dug a hole and they threw her in there, and they wanted to stone her. Everybody knows the story. Jesus put a line in the sand, and all those who without sin cast the first stone, and everybody had to leave.
And Jesus said, I don't even judge you, woman, but
Right.
go and sin no more.
So where was the guy that was doing
where
her?
was the guy?
Where
Probably was one of the Pharisees, Rich.
Probably.
Probably was.
Yeah.
Probably was.
I didn't know about the 2-witness rule then.
No.
They have 2 witnesses?
That's a JW.
That's a JW
man-made JW thing.
And that's how they can get away with pedophilia.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of it in the Jehovah's Witness organization.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to believe me or anybody else on 6 Screens.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to the court system and look at all the judgments against Jehovah's Witnesses for pedophilia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes on in this organization that is not discussed. And it's very, very sad that the women are the ones, the women are the ones that are the regular pioneers for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
In our congregation, it was all women. It was all women that were out there pioneering, putting in their hours and everything. And there were a couple of brothers, but not many, maybe 1 or 2. That was it, if even that at times. So we'd like to get your feedback on that.
Star 6.
Yeah, we know you're out there. We know that what we're saying is very, very true. And this organization has a tendency to truly disrespect women. Now that so many of the elders are leaving, and even ministerial servants, now Watchtower is desperate. They're having women, use the microphones and stuff like that. But that's just because they need to have somebody do it.
You'll never see, well, maybe I'm wrong. I was going to say you'll never see a woman give a Sunday talk.
No,
but you know what?
Or an assembly.
Of course, I never thought they'd be celebrating Christmas. They're not actually celebrating it yet. They're slowly introducing things, like they've got a song about Bethlehem in the new songbook. Now, Bethlehem has only one significance. Jesus was born there. Other than that, it's not significant. It's not like Jerusalem.
Yeah.
It has no significance. But they've introduced that song in the songbook. And then down the road, when it comes to blood transfusions, maybe joining the military, maybe saluting the flag, all this stuff, it's going to be a matter of conscience. Things that you would be disfellowshipped for and your family would never talk to you about. Well, it's going to be a matter of conscience. That's how they're going to do it.
The organization's changing a lot.
They have to.
When we were in, Rich, it wasn't all about money, money, money. Now it's all about money, money, money. They want you to fill out a little form and, say how much you're going to donate.
Too, like I was saying there, it's all about, matter of conscience stuff, because, everything now is becoming a matter of conscience. And I think the reason why they're doing that is I think the governing body is trying to pull themselves away from the religion part itself. I mean, they're still part of the religion, of course, but I think they're trying to move themselves away from what they're causing, because they know what they're doing is wrong. They know what they're doing is hurting people. So they're trying to kind of back away from that in their own way by saying now everything is conscience matter. But what I'm waiting for is when they actually say that blood transfusions are totally okay, because when that happens, there's going to be a whole backlog of people from years back that are going to sue the living crap out of them for their families and their friends dying from not receiving a blood transfusion. And then they're going to say, oh, it's just a matter of conscience now?
Right. Well, they basically have done that.
That could be a giant court case right there.
And at one time people were publishers. Now they've changed it. They've changed the terminology. I forget what they call the people in the congregation now, But anyway, it's exactly what you said. It's where the governing body members are distancing themselves from everybody in the congregation so that they feel like they can wash their hands clean, and they're not, in their mind, they're not going to be held accountable legally.
Yeah, the Watchtower has this two.
Yeah, but you know what? In God's eyes, that's too late because they're blood guilty. They're big time blood guilty.
They are. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there's this two-pronged thing.
Yeah, they may wipe themselves clean from humanity's input and stuff, but they've got the Almighty to face, and I don't think, unless they repent, I do not think they're going to stand well in His court.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, you're certainly right. Speaking of court, there's a two-pronged thing going on with Jehovah's Witnesses governing body, okay? They want to have express control over all the congregations in an authoritative way, but they don't want to be responsible in a legal way, because if they are, it'll cost them money in lawsuits.
Right.
As you allude to, if they ever change the blood doctrine to it's okay now, well, lawsuits are definitely going to come. The only way they changed their policy, well, they didn't change their policy in the two-witness rule,
No.
but they changed their policy in the fact if an elder heard about it, he was to call the service department, and he wasn't to call the cops.
Right.
So they got their butts sued off for millions of dollars. So now you call a branch, and then you call the elders
or the legal department.
The cops.
Yeah, they go to the legal department.
Yeah.
The legal department. In other words, when there's a pedophile in the congregation and there's the blue envelopes, anybody in their right mind would notify authorities because that's a criminal offense. You're raping children. But Watchtower's not like that. They don't consider it a crime. They just consider it a sin, which is insane. So they do not report it to the authorities. So what they do is they contact the legal department, which they have a huge legal department, and then they wait for the instructions from the legal department to tell them what to do.
Yeah, it just depends on what state you live in.
That's true.
That is in true. Some states you don't have to report, in other states you don't. The ones you have to report, otherwise you get sued, then the branch says, okay, tell the police.
But then if you have an elder that's, say, a teacher or a social worker or, a nurse or fireman, policeman, whatever, anything along those lines, you're a mandate reporter and you have to report. So sometimes you'll have a brother that's, one of the elders, and he's caught between a rock and a hard place. He's a mandate reporter professional with his job. Say he's a nurse.
School teacher.
Say he's a school teacher. Okay. Mandate reporter. He's a mandate reporter. If he sees anything like that, he has to report it. But then yet now he's also an elder, and they're told to keep it quiet and not say anything and submit that information to the legal department. So he's caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, when the lawsuit comes down,
yeah,
JWs aren't going to provide an attorney for him.
No, they're not.
If he loses his house,
or his job,
they don't care. I don't care.
They don't care. And that's just another thought, is that Watchtower will use you and abuse you for everything that they can get out of you. Your time, your resources, your life, your money, everything. Quick builds, you name it. But when it comes right down to it, they really do not care about you. They never have, and they never will. And the majority of people do leave the organization, not because of doctrines, but they leave the organization because they really see the hypocrisy and the lack of love. Mm-hmm. So I think the sooner you can realize that this organization is not a Christian organization, it's a corporation run by the bozos.
Fear-based congregation.
It's fear-based.
Yeah.
and that they're just basically using you. That doesn't feel good to be used. It doesn't feel good to be used in any kind of relationship. But when you really wake up and you see that that really is the truth, because like, say, for example, all the Bethelites, for example, Rich, they put in all that time in Bethel. Maybe some were just a couple years, but there were others that spent 20, 30, 40 years. And then Watchtower is going to throw them out on the street. That's exactly what I'm talking about as a good example. They have let them go with nothing. There's no stipend, there's no money, there's nothing. And so that's a perfect example of how this organization, which is nothing more than a corporation, uses people and then throws them out when they're done with them. They don't care about you. They never have.
You're like a prostitute. You use the prostitute, and then once you get your jollies.
Isn't it true that
Wow.
I heard recently that the Watchtower is reducing the Bethelites' time there, and I'm wondering if maybe the reason why they're reducing their time at Bethel is to keep them from finding out stuff that's really going on. What do you think?
Exactly correct.
I think that could be true.
You're exactly correct.
Because the longer they're there, the more they see.
Yeah.
And don't forget, not only that, but they're told that when they leave Bethel and they come back to their congregations, you got to zip your lips and don't be saying anything negative about this organization. Why? Because it's all about image. God forbid. And then they use this excuse.
Yep. And not only that, by them telling people not to say anything, that's evil because they know they're doing wrong.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
They know all too well they're doing wrong, and they want to try and hide it, but it's not going to work because, like I said earlier, God sees the whole thing, and they think they're hiding. They think they're smart, but let me tell you, God has outsmarted them already. He knows every jot and tittle they've ever done.
Yeah.
Every paper they published, every magazine they published, He knows word for word everything they've ever thought, said, and wrote.
Yeah. Yep, it's very, very true. And there is a very dark side to Watchtower as well. I know some people don't really want to believe that they're involved in pedophilia, but there's so many lawsuits that's open information. Just do your research, and you can certainly find. Candace Conte was one of them. She's only one. I mean, there's floods of them nowadays. People are coming forward, and there's so much shame. There's so much embarrassment. And pedophilia just destroys a child's life because they, as a child, they're very innocent and they want to be able to trust people and they really want to just be loved. And so, they have this adult person in their life and they think that they can trust them and then, find out that things are going on. And it's a little bit like, shh, this is a little secret between the two of us. And don't you tell anybody, mommy or daddy or anybody. And those pedophiles groom them. And there's plenty of them in the organization. And if you have children and you're a JW and you're listening to our show tonight, I cannot emphasize strongly enough that do not let at the assemblies or even in the Kingdom Hall, but do not let your children be going into those restrooms by themselves just because you think, oh, we're at a convention. You're not safe. You're not safe. Your children are not safe. Go ahead.
They always have these car groups. Don't put your child in someone else's car.
Right.
Good point.
Pixie. Or the sleepovers. We've talked about the sleepovers a lot. Do not have your children go to any of these sleepovers. Okay, this is when things happen, is when the children are having a sleepover at someone's home.
Who the Watchtower is really becoming exposed these days. I can remember back maybe 15, 20 years ago, Rick was in my car, and he said, Dick, the Watchtower has joined the United Nations.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, gee, Ricky, you got to be wrong about that.
It's like, it's too hard to believe, isn't it, Rich?
It's way too hard to believe that.
Yeah.
And then next week, I think he was in my car and he had a letter that he got. He wrote to the United Nations. They wrote him back. Yeah. And, United Nations signature, letterhead,
logo,
the
yeah.
whole bit, right?
Yeah, on the letterhead.
And
yeah.
it said that the Watchtower had joined as an NGO, a non-governmental organization.
Mhm.
And when you join as an NGO, you're telling the United Nations that you agree with their philosophy, the way they do things. Okay,
Mhm.
you're in cahoots with them,
Mm.
so to speak.
In agreement.
In agreement.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
And yet they said 4,000 times in their literature
Mm.
that United Nations was the wild beast, the whore that came out of Babylon the Great,
Mm.
all the plagues and all that stuff.
Mm.
And yet they joined. And I thought, wow, if this ever gets out,
Mm.
then everyone's going to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well, you
Well,
think so because we know how abhorrent
so they did a little trial
Wild Beast was. Mhm.
balloon somewhere in Texas,
Mhm.
and they told the audience,
Can you explain what a trial balloon is?
the
Because
trial
people
balloon is
might not
all
know.
right, you throw something out there
Mhm.
to see what the reaction is going to be.
Mhm.
Like if you throw out and say, folks, the governing body wants you all to know that they joined the United Nations.
Mhm.
Now, if the next week they come back and the congregation's half gone, you say, wow, this is something.
But they do it with one congregation.
They do it with
It's a
maybe a
trial.
circuit,
Okay, maybe a circuit. Okay.
and to see how many
13
people are going to leave.
Yeah.
Very few people left because they're indoctrinated. Their mindset is you're in the truth and Armageddon's coming and I want to live in paradise earth.
Mhm.
And that's what you believe.
Mhm.
So even though
And don't
it
question.
was,
huh?
yeah,
Don't question.
even though it was so in their faces, it was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
First, they come out and they said, well, apostate driven lies. That's what it was. Everybody, oh, that's what it was, apostate driven lies. So people say, well, why didn't you sue the newspaper for,
Defamation of
yeah,
character.
why didn't you sue the, and they kept printing it to newspapers throughout the country.
Yeah.
It started over, and I think somebody picked it up in England. And all the newspapers were picking it up and
Yeah.
saying, Jehovah, you joined the United Nations. So they resigned from the United Nations, supposedly. But what they did is they got an unlisted number, and they're still a member of the United Nations today. I remember Rick telling me, he says, they get this automatic writing, and there's tombs in the tunnels in the Watchtower and
Underneath Bethel.
underneath the ground,
Uh-huh.
and they have seances. They have all. Gee, Rick, it's probably true, but
It
you
was
don't want
hard to.
you don't want to put it out there because
Yeah.
people
think
people
you're
aren't
just
going to listen
crazy.
to Six Screens
Mm.
where it's sensationalist or something.
Mm.
But boy, it's proved to be true.
Yeah.
Same thing with the pedophiles and the whole bit. Same thing to be true.
Well, and there's so many, children that are so innocent, like you've always brought up about Mark
Yeah.
was raped in the tunnels down below in Bethel.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead, please. Mhm. Go ahead.
This is Stefan. How are you guys this evening?
Hi,
Hi, Steph.
Stephan. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to piggyback on what Brother Borgi was just talking about. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys got a chance to hear this video. This was a video by Jason Zelda. You probably know who that is.
Oh yeah, we like them.
Yeah, we were watching him a little bit this week. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. This wasn't his most recent video. I think this was the one just before his last video. If you
Yeah.
have not watched that video, you have got to watch it. I want to say it is probably the most explosive video of an expose on Jehovah's Witnesses that I have ever seen. He talks about how the Watchtower is still a part of the UN by being a part of this other group. I think it's a European group. He mentions the group. I'm driving. I have it written down, but I'm driving. So they have never stopped being a part of the United Nations, just like Brother Borgi said. But the most important thing that came out of it, they are in part, Watchtower, they are a part of an interdenominational group. And if you watch the video, it will tell you the name of the group. They just met, I guess a month or two ago, someplace in Europe. actually, this might have been a Latin American country because the article was in Spanish. And somebody wrote an article about this group and the various members. There's, I believe it's Catholics, there's the Jehovah's Witnesses, there's the Mormons, and they just listed all the groups. But the Jehovah's Witnesses are right there in the middle of this.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that video.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that is the most damning, if you ask me, that is the most damning video that a person can watch about Jehovah's Witnesses, because it shows they've never stopped being a part of the United Nations after they've said that the United Nations was the principal part of Satan's organization. Then they're in bed with other multi-denominational groups that if you and I went into a church, we'd be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Here they are, a part of a group, multi-denominational, and they are a part of it. And if you don't believe it, just go back a couple of winters ago, and you remember how we talked about how a song from the Songbook of Jehovah's Witnesses was put onto a multi-denominational Christmas album or holiday album. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do.
I never heard that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about it on Sixth Grade. There was a song that Rick Barron is listening. There was a song that wound up on a multi-denominational holiday album, and it was a song right out of our songbook. We talked about that on Sixth Grade.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that same group.
Just one at a time, please.
Yeah.
One
Let
guest
Stefan
at a
go
time.
ahead. Let
Go ahead,
Stefan go
Steph.
ahead. Mm-hmm.
And what's funny about all that is
Wait, Donald, let Stefan finish.
all the religions are Satan. They're Satan's organization. They're and yet they're a part of it.
Yeah. Okay, Donald or RJ, I'm not sure. Let Stefan finish, please. Go ahead, Stefan.
I just want to say this very briefly. What Zeldin mentioned was this group has an agenda. They have to work together and they have to do certain things, and Watchtower is right in the middle of all of that. It would not faze me that if by 2027, because this is the end of 2025 almost, right? We're in October, so we'll discount 2025, so that leaves 20. I suspect two things are going to happen by 2027. You're going to see some kind of an article come out, and we're going to read it and probably say, well, this is kind of bizarre. I'm not really sure what Watchtower is saying, but it's going to be about Christmas. They are going to write something basically sort of winking the eye at the Christmas celebration, that they'll probably say something to the effect of, well, even though it might initially have been viewed as pagan or something, but isn't it good when everybody can kind of come together around the world, and in a time of all this war and fighting and all these problems, everybody kind of come together. But they're going to write something because they're a part of this group and they have to. The same way when they join the UN, they have to start writing things positive. So you're going to see something bizarre like that in about the next year or two. And it would not surprise me if they make some kind of a reversal on the Christmas celebration by 2027.
Wow.
If you want to see the genesis of it,
one at a time, please. Just one caller at a time.
You have to watch it.
That was a great video that he did. I don't think they'll backpedal on Christmas and a lot of these things, but we do know at the top that they are attending these interdenominational business meetings of these religious executives, these leaders.
Right.
And this is not the first time they've done it. And I think they backpedaled on the toasting because in some cultures, toasts go with high dollar business meetings.
Exactly.
Mm. Well, if you want to find out more about what,
but don't forget, Pixie, at the last annual meeting, that brother said, he talked about all the changes, and he said, and there are big changes to come. Did you hear that in the annual meeting?
No, but thank you for apprising me of that. I do know that the King of England was very gracious to the Pope this week, and everyone was looking at the ceiling. He had a whole British contingent there at the Sistine Chapel. So they want to have a more, the word isn't even global, centralized. They want to have a more centralized religious script.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That was my point. We have been talking, and all the people the Fritz Springmeyers, the Reese, and all these people have been talking about that the powers that be want to have this one world government and one world religion. And Watchtower is jockeying right now to be a part of it the same way, if you don't believe it, the same way they tried to be a part of it when they thought that Hitler was going to take over Europe and probably the world. You remember that, not Charles Russell, but the so-called judge sent that letter to Hitler, was trying to ingratiate himself to Hitler so he can be that one world religion. They're doing the same thing now. So if anybody hasn't seen that video, look up Jason Zelda.
Jason Zelda.
You're going to have to watch it about 2 times so you can really appreciate what he's saying. And the article itself is in Spanish. So if you're a Spanish-speaking person, read the article in Spanish because you might glean even more than he did because he had to use AI to translate.
Right.
If you read it directly, there might be some things even more that you can bring to the table. But I encourage everybody to listen to that. Watchtower is more corrupt and evil and of the devil than we probably ever imagined. Thank you.
It's a centralized script. Yes, I hear you.
Thank you, Stefan. And the thing is, what I want to say, it's Jason Zelda, Z-E-L-D as in David A. Jason Zelda. And what's interesting is Jason was never a JW.
He spoke. He was never a JW. He was actually on 6 Screens just a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. He made a very brief statement. But yes, he has never been a witness, and I have to be honest and say I never give as much credence to non-witnesses than I do to witnesses. But I have to say that article that he commented on, because he didn't write the article, he was commenting on it, and it's since been pulled, and that's why it's so important. You have to go find it on his channel because Watchtower never had it pulled.
So on YouTube, insert Jason Zelda. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from what he said on his video too, he said the reason why it was hidden like that is because they didn't want English-speaking people knowing about what they were doing.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly right. Yep.
But see, they forgot about AI and translation, didn't they?
Is it Catholic?
Well, people need to be aware of
this.
Yeah, Watchtower is very dark, and you know, it's like they have an appearance of what you see, and like Rick always says, you pull back the curtain, and then you get to really see who they are, and you need to know that. You really need to see that if you're going to invest your life in an organization or a cause or purpose.
I know I'm playing with the Wizard of Oz a little bit here, but I wish that when they pull back the curtain, I wish Toto would go back there and bite that man behind the curtain.
That's cute.
I got to tell you, when the Kingdom Halls were being sold off left and right, they were taking photographs, and they had the elders from the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall, and they had the elders from this other church, Anglican church, one of the churches, and they're all shaking hands.
Yeah.
And they just sold that Kingdom Hall off
to Christendom.
Yeah. And then months later, weeks later, there's a big crucifix on a Kingdom Hall dedicated to Jehovah God.
Yeah.
And people don't question that. They go, well, gee, that's kind of strange, but it's still the truth. So I'm going to stay in it because I want to make it through Armageddon and live on paradise earth. Come on, people.
Yeah.
It's a phony baloney BS cult. And the sooner you get out of it, the happier you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Star 6. Go ahead, brother.
Hi. I was listening to one of these Jehovah's Witnesses in my area, and I sat down and I talked to this guy, and he's an elder in the congregation my wife goes to. And I told him, and I said it straight to his face. I said, my wife, I do not want my wife to go out in door-to-door service anymore because we have the MS-13 gang here, real bad. We have redneck people in this area that will shoot you and put you in the back 40 and not even think about it. And now, then he started quoting me about the Second Amendment. Then he started quoting me about what the police department knows about the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm going to sit down with the sheriff this week. I'm going to sit down with the district attorney this week. And we're going to find out how much they really do know.
Mm. Mm.
And then I'm going to show them what I learned over the last 30-some years. And I will repeat myself, I am not a Jehovah's Witness, but I'm married to one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't appreciate what they do to their own people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put up with it. I have seen what happened in our families in the general area. And when they decide to go out and go to different places and do different things and lie to the people that they're talking to, trying to bring in to the Jehovah's Witnesses, and this is an example, and it's true what I'm going to say. I listened to the Jehovah's Witnesses at this one place, and they were talking to this lady, and this lady came from a Baptist religion. And some of the people at the Baptist religion didn't like her, so they pushed her away. So they used that little bit of knowledge to use against this lady.
Mm.
To say the organization doesn't do this type of things. They use that knowledge to be warm and fuzzy.
Mm.
When I found out where this lady lived, I went and knocked on her door and I talked to her. And I said, this is all a scam.
Mm.
And I said, dear, she talked to me for 2.5 hours.
Mm. Okay.
She is not going to become a witness. But the point of all of it is when they use people, they use their words against them so nice and polite.
Mm.
And they use it against them because they know that person is off guard. And they're looking for some kind of sympathy, that person. But they use their sympathy as a weapon for them later.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. You got to belong to their club, and if you choose not to, then they're going to, penalize you.
Yeah. Don't question
try
the
to
leaders.
destroy you.
Don't question. That's if you're questioning them, it's the same thing as questioning Jehovah,
Mm-hmm.
which is ludicrous because our Heavenly Father has never blessed that cult.
No. That's why, you see so many people, like Jesus says, you will know my disciples by the love they have among themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fruit, right? So the thing is, why are there so many sisters and even brothers, but that suffer from depression and anxiety in this organization? Because the whole organization is based on manipulation and control, and they use fear of this. If you don't do this, the elders are watching, see how much time you got out in service. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't comment at the meetings, you're spiritually weak, or you're going to be marked. I mean, everybody is under so much pressure to just, be absolutely perfect in this organization that, year after year, that
they call that paradise.
Takes a toll on your body and your mind.
Hello?
Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Dick? Can you hear me, Dick? Constance, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, great, cool. How you all doing? Yeah, my name is, I'm a first-time caller. My name is Mark. I'm actually calling from Texas. I've been watching y'all's program a lot, and I watch almost practically every Saturday, you and Six Screens. I love watching you guys and Rick. I really do.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you,
We're very
Mark.
flattered by that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark,
Yeah,
this is
I'm
Donald
actually,
from Texas.
One at a time,
Wait,
please.
let Mark
how you
talk.
doing?
One at a time.
Yeah, Mark's the first time caller. Go ahead, Mark.
Go ahead,
What would
Mark.
you like to say? We'd love to hear you.
From a first-time caller, yeah, can I talk? Who's this?
Yeah, honey, go ahead.
Please.
Go ahead, please. Mhm.
Okay. Oh yeah, no. Well, Dick, Constance, I'm actually, I was anyway. I was a fourth generation JW. You know, we go back to this religion like about 4 generations. My great grandmother was the first one to be preached to on my mother's side, and you're talking about how people don't want to leave this organization; they want to stay in it. Well, thing is, my father. All my family, I have 2 brothers and my father, they're still all in it. I'm the only one that said, I can't do this. But my father, he's going to be 80 years old next year, and he's been an elder since I was a kid. And basically, he's in it. I mean, he's got nowhere else to go. Even if I show him, I tell him he's just so hard-headed, and he goes back to the Bible. And every time I bring this up, these changes or what the society is doing, or bring up everything that's the same religion, he likes to, as his argument, I like to go back to the story of Jesus and Peter. Remember when Jesus told some of his disciples something they didn't understand? They walked off, and Jesus turns to the disciples, apostles, says, do you all want to leave too? Peter says, where else will we go? You have sayings of everlasting life. And he likes to use that as an argument why he should stay with it no matter what changes or no matter how questioning we start. There's nowhere else to go when we need this. And that's basically, he comes back with that same argument every time I try to plant him questions about wanting to leave or think about what's going on in this religion, Pop. What's with these changes? And this ain't the same organization that we grew up in as children. And well, he's just in it, and it's really tough, you know. You know what I mean?
Yep, it is, honey. You know, they're just.
I hate to say this, but your father, I'm legally blind, and I have to say your father is blinder than I am.
Yeah,
he is. I gotta agree with that. I mean, he always every time I tell him about this, he goes, well, people keep saying, when do these things happen and when will these things be? And you know, I keep telling Dad, they said the Armageddon might not come in our lifetime, and he says, well, then we'll come back to life, because I'll just say over a year ago, my mother passed away. She was a devout Christian. She was a devout witness, and kind of breaks my heart to say the last thing I finally broke it to her that I just want nothing to do with this religion. She's heartbroken, but she can't accept that, and I'm just kind of thankful of my father as of now, and my mother didn't shun me. Even when my mother was dying in the hospital, she wouldn't shun me. I'm not officially disfellowshipped and disassociated. I guess you could say I just disappeared, moved somewhere far away, and had my publisher cards lost somewhere, you know, trying to escape them. But technically speaking, I can still talk to my folks and my family. Just that they don't want to. Well, my siblings won't talk to me. Know how I feel about the organization.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's very difficult for people, Mark, that have been in for so many years to realize, you know, they don't even want to go near that, oh my gosh, you know, maybe this is not real, that I've spent my whole life believing this organization and raising my family in this organization. And then to think, oh my God, you know, we failed as parents, we failed as grandparents, whatever. And it's like, this is not the truth. People, you know, people would rather be in total denial. It's like an alcoholic or a drug addict. Oh no, I don't have a problem. You know, they drink on a regular basis to the point where they're out of control and it's brought to their attention. No, I don't have a drinking problem. It's denial. Denial is so strong and so powerful that people, it's the mind just trying to tell them, no, it's okay. You're fine. You can handle this. The same thing is true with the organization. No, this is not a cult. You know, it's apostate, because otherwise it's going to rock their world like they've never believed could ever happen. And then they have to, you know, they have to come to the realization that they were part of an organization that lied to them. And then they pass that on to future generations. There's so much guilt with that. They don't want to even go there. But, you know, the other thing I wanted to say, Mark, is Don't forget, Satan appears as an angel of light, you know?
Mhm.
And Watchtower is always saying, new light, new light, new light. Yeah, well, Satan the devil's an angel of light.
That's
Huh?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also you got to remember, Dick.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Dick Constance, you got to remember, my dad's going to be 80 next year, and he just can't walk away from this. This
Well,
has
that's
been his
it.
whole life. For him, this is the social network. I mean, basically, brothers still spend time with us since he doesn't have my mom anymore, so he's pretty much having to be in this. He can't leave. I mean, he's just too far in.
I know, honey.
Yeah.
I know. It's like their family, you know, their social network.
It takes a lot of courage to
It takes
admit
a lot of
that you're
courage.
wrong.
Yes,
You
it
know,
does.
and it's really really hard pill to swallow. I mean, for myself, I raised two boys
Mhm.
in the cult,
Yeah.
and I have guilt over that, and I can't even express to them how I feel because they won't listen to me because I'm apostate, and they're both ministerial servants. Unfortunately, one's alcoholic. Go
Well,
ahead.
let him finish. The other thing is that Rich's boys are, you know, between 45 and 50. So, you know, this organization is devastational to families.
Yeah.
And Rich has one son that's
Oh,
in
my
Florida.
God. Yeah.
One son in Florida, and the other son is about what, Rich? 40 minutes?
40
And
minutes
he
from
doesn't
now.
even know it. He doesn't even know that we've been out here. Doesn't even know it. I mean, that's what this organization does. It destroys families.
Hey, can I say something again?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Hey, brother that just came on for the first time.
Mark, his name's
Make
Mark.
sure-
My name's Mark.
Mhm.
Mark, I'm sorry, I'm David.
Mhm.
You just make sure that those people don't try to take the will, don't try to take his house, don't try to take any insurance money he has or any insurance,
Yeah.
and you make sure that it's all taken care of.
Yep.
Because they are so shifty and so fast,
Yep.
they'll make your head spin.
Yep. It's true. It's
Hold
very
on,
true.
time out. Are you talking about the Watchtower taking my father?
Wait a minute. I'm just saying that you watch what they're talking about and everything.
That's a good point.
Okay.
That's a good point, David. Very good point. to tell Mark that.
I've been in 4 lawsuits across the United States to help out witnesses that were going to lose their life savings, their house, their businesses, and everything else. And I've helped them out.
Well, you're a good man, David. We appreciate that. You know, if you want to help people, come on 6 Screens and tell your stories. I had a guy come on one of my programs years ago, and he was saying he lent money to the Watchtower. So the Watchtower comes out and says, brothers, we need money, okay, for some crazy project that they invented. And listen, give us a loan, and when you need the money back, we'll give it to you. So 4 or 5 years go by, and the brother calls and says, hey, you know that 10 grand I gave you? I needed to put an addition on my house or something. Oh, brother, you should have counted the cost. We're not going to give it to you. I mean, they don't care. And I keep on stressing, they have billions in their coffers.
Mhm.
And the only one that's going to be getting money from them that you don't know about is the cops that they're bribing, the judges that they're bribing, and the big state officials, you know, governors and so forth. They bribe these people. That's why they get what they get. And I'm glad somebody a few moments ago talked about Jason Zelda's program. I watched it. It was fantastic. The guy does a lot of great research.
Real quick, Dick.
Yeah, and you know the point was that
Let Rich finish.
let's one person at a time can talk.
So everyone can hear.
All right. Well, you know, I'll shut up in a second. What they did is they did that in Europe, and it wasn't in the English language, so they thought they could get it by.
Right, it was in Spanish.
Right, the same way that they did that with the United Nations. It was picked up in England, I believe, and then it was broadcasted in the United States, and we picked up on it. Rick did like 15, 20 years ago, and we put it on 6 screens, and a lot of people didn't believe us.
They didn't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to just go back to what David said in behalf of Mark, because that's really, really important. You know, Mark, you have a real advantage that your father still speaks to you, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So what David was trying to say is that, yeah, David was trying to say, I don't know, honey, if you caught it or not, but what happens when there are elderly witnesses, whether they're a man or a woman, the elders will literally come to, like, say, your father's home, and they will try to take his home and whatever assets he has and to donate those to Watchtower. So you need to be aware of that. You absolutely need to be aware of that. Joe Dara is a very close friend of ours, and he was an elder for 13, 14 years, and he was sharing that with us, but we've shared it on the show. Rick has shared it on the show many times. So I just wanted to be sure that you understood what David was saying. That if you have an open relationship with your father, be sure and try to protect him from that, okay? Because that's very important.
Well, I can try to explain to him, but it's very hard-headed. He likes to say, well, it's for the brothers, for the preaching work, for the worldwide work, and he'll insist that it's all for a good cause. Even gives he gives like a percentage of his Social Security to the Watchtower, to the society. I'm like, really, Dad? Really? You doing that, Dad? Like, he's just very hard-headed, and he's in this, if you know what I mean, Dickie Constance.
Yes, I do.
You know, I'm glad you brought that point up.
Wait, let Rich finish, because sometimes people talk over us and we don't get to finish saying what we need to say.
Yeah.
So hold on, please.
There's a YouTube and video going on right now that I hope people get to watch. It shows the different governing bodies members giving talks.
Yeah.
And they point to these beautiful gold rings that they're wearing, 2 or 3 of them, and they're pointing to the Rolex watch and in the Armani suits. These guys dress well, they eat well, they have money. I saw a movie just recently about these 4 or 5 guys that robbed the bank, and they got a big payload of money. So they said, they all agreed, listen, we got to lay low. We can't show off we can't go out and buy Cadillacs
stuff.
So they had this meeting a year after the robbery, and the guy shows up, in this big Lincoln convertible.
Yeah, right.
And the guy, the head guy on this the theft ring, the mastermind, he wants to punch the guy out. He says, that is how you bring attention to us.
It was a movie.
So what the Watchtower is doing is, and I've been told this, when Johnny the Bethelite was alive, I'm pretty sure he's dead, but I don't know for sure. But he was saying that, Jeffrey Jackson's driving a Bentley. Well, that's a $500,000 car. What about that scripture about the showy display of one's means of life?
Right.
Jeffrey Jackson doesn't care about that.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care that you get people rubbing nickels together so they can pioneer. Are they going to tap into their billions of dollars that they have in a slush fund or some kind of a fund?
Nope.
They
never have. They never will.
They're never going to see it.
Right. Or just look at 9/11. Did you get to finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just think of 9/11. I'm a California girl, and Rich is from Massachusetts, and then Rick is also from Massachusetts. But the story about when 9/11 hit, people were just, you saw it on television. People were in absolute shock and absolute terror when the airplanes hit the towers, and people were running for their lives. Okay, so what's my point? Well, Watchtower closed their doors. Okay, it was right there. Watchtower was right there, and they closed all their doors for all these people who were in absolute panic for their lives, literally for their lives. And Watchtower closed their doors. Didn't help anybody.
Yep.
All they were concerned about was passing out the magazines, for people's spiritual food. That's this organization.
Hey, Dick, can I tell you something?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Dick, Constance, Dick, I just want to tell you, I kicked myself, Dick, really hard. I kicked myself so hard because I work as an electrician. I'm a licensed master electrician. That's my occupation. And earlier in my life, I kicked myself. All those years, I went to the quick mills and the Kingdom halls and the assembly halls doing electrical work and wiring for free and getting nothing but crappy food from the Watchtower back. All this time, you're making Jehovah happy and blah, 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 and all that hard work. Sometimes that's here till 8, 9 o'clock at night at an assembly hall. You're in San Antonio to get the wiring and the lights done, and just got a late night meal. That's all. I keep myself for that, Dick.
Well, I was going to say electricians in the Bay Area are paid very well when they're union. So I'm glad you have that trade. But yeah, you could see how you were used. So were the drywall, the sheetrock, roofers, everybody, everyone, windows, painters, all of them. They were all used. All these brothers were used. Now they even have some sisters doing that, which I think it's great for women to be in the trades, but all for free, So what? You got a free meal for lunch.
It's a modern day slave organization.
You got a free meal for lunch. Wow, whoop-de-doo. Yep. Well, Mark, we really want to thank you for coming on. So nice to hear you. You're always welcome.
I want to know, who's the gentleman say he was from Texas, too, because I really would like to get in contact with some ex-witnesses locally around my area, have a meetup, because I haven't really had a chance to meet some, because I've been out since before the pandemic. I haven't had a really chance to meet up with ex-witnesses, so really would like to meet up with some around my area, if possible.
Yeah, and you're in San Antonio.
I never was a witness. I studied with them very briefly in the early 90s, but I never became a witness.
Where are you at? I'm in Austin.
I'm in Beaumont.
Oh, you're far east. You're over by the Louisiana border. Yeah, you're east of Houston. Okay. Yeah, I know that's good Cajun food out there, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of spicy Cajun food here.
Oh, yeah. All right. Good to meet you. Never been a witness. That's cool. Well, good to meet you.
Yep. Yeah, I come on here usually every Saturday usually.
Yeah, I just start coming on more often. I really do like your show, Dick and Constance, and being able to chat with you guys, knowing that probably I'm the only one in my immediate family that wants nothing to do with the Watchtower anymore.
Well, Mark, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people listening in literally from all around the world. And if anyone's in the Texas area or near, did you say San Antonio or Austin? I wasn't quite sure.
Austin.
In Austin. Okay.
Austin.
Yeah, just give it some time. People will chime in, whether it's tonight or in the future, and you'll be able to have an opportunity to meet up with people. Or Joe and Fran, do you know who they are?
Yeah, I watched their program before, yes.
Yeah, because they try to hook people up. A lot of times people think that they're all by themselves, and Joe and Fran try to hook up, XJW with another XJW in their area. So
that's great.
Yeah, definitely. And then, excuse me, my throat's just dry from talking. Rodney Allgood, who's down in, he's in Las Vegas. He has sometimes a meetup group of different XJWs, in different parts of the country. And Rodney Allgood, you can find him, Mark, on, on Facebook. So you might look him up and become friends with him and ask him. I'm sure in Texas there's XJWs for sure. I just don't know of any right off.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that's cool. That's good.
Hey, this is David. One more time.
Yeah, David.
Make sure that you just make sure your father doesn't do anything strange and unusual or about the house or to his bank account or anything else, because I'm going to tell you now.
Look, I can tell you. Look, honestly, I can tell you right now, my father's going to do anything to make what he believes to make Jehovah happy, and if that involves him giving his whole Social Security, that's what he's going to do. I know my father. I mean, that's basically when he still believes in Jehovah. He says, "Same the devil this, same the devil that," and oh my goodness, Dad, getting on my nerves saying this.
Just remember, you might have to go and get custody of things so they can't take anything away from him.
Power of attorney.
Yeah.
You're talking about durable power of attorney.
I have to do that.
See why I'm saying this is because I just sat down and I wrote out my will, and I wrote out my will with my wife, and I made sure that I had power of attorney over her and the power of attorney over other things.
Yeah.
So the Watchtower could not take anything away from her.
That's correct, David. And let me specify that it's called financial power of attorney.
Right.
Right.
There's two of them. Durable power of attorney for healthcare and for finances. They're two separate ones. Mhm.
You might have to do that because I'm just trying to fair warn you about things because I don't want to see nothing happen to you or your dad.
Right.
But just like my wife, well, when you're writing out your will and you're delegating the money down the line, like it goes to my two sons first, then it goes to the grandkids, then it goes to another person after they get done with it, or they don't have any more money by then, I hope.
Well, let me throw something out there. Jehovah's Witnesses, they know who the elderly are in the congregation. Sister, can I finish?
Right.
Right. Could I finish, please? Okay. They know who the elderly are, and they know if the elderly owns their own home or whatever. Okay. When that person starts to get elderly or feeble or whatever, they're going to go to that person and they're going to have paperwork already printed out, ready legal stuff already done.
Yep.
Okay. So you try to reverse it, you're going to have a really, really hard time. If you don't have the lawyers, if you can't afford the lawyers, the Watchtower is going to win, and they're going to do it. They're going to find out who in the congregation owns their own home or has a new car or whatever, and they are going after it. Absolutely. And watch out when they say, look, if your dad is in a bed in the upper room in your house, right? They're going to say, we're going to need some privacy with your dad. And you say, well, they're elders, you know, so they're going to help them spiritually, and they want privacy. You know what they want to do is they want them to
his signature.
They wanted their signature. That's what they want. Don't, stay in the room if your father's on his deathbed, not just you, anybody else is listening to this.
This is really important.
If your parent is on their deathbed, you can expect a call from the elders, and you can expect them to ask you to leave the room so they can have a private conversation. So ask those elders right now when they say we want privacy with your dad or your mother who's passing. Say, are you going to try to get the house? Have them sign the house over to you?
Well, they probably would lie, Rich.
They probably would.
Theocratic warfare.
Right.
They probably would lie. Watchtower would do anything for money. They lie if they're going to lie in a courtroom, which they have done. That's no surprise. Why wouldn't they lie to the family?
Yeah, watch out for them.
That Dick.
Go ahead.
I've always wondered that, Dick. Jehovah being the Almighty High God, why does he need a lawyer? Why does his organization need a legal department? Just basically that information there should be enough to have you think, but this really is the truth. What?
Well, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Why do they need a battalion of lawyers? Because Jehovah knows the situation. Jehovah would tell them how to handle it. Why do they need the lawyers?
Yeah, through his Holy Spirit, like that.
Yeah. Well, they're money grubbing. That's what it is. The organization is not about love. It's not about God or the Bible. That's just all a front. They're all about money, money, money. That's what it is.
Who does Jehovah's Witness governing body help?
And why
I
did they
just
need all
wanted
this
to
money if it's
warn you.
coming to an end, right?
Make sure that you take care of your father.
Well, if his father is 80 years old, it's not unusual for any legal office for them to go in together and for them to get financial power of attorney and medical power of attorney.
Right.
And his father will want him to have those things. It's standard paperwork at any attorney's office. It should cost about $150 for both of the papers to be drawn up. And those papers supersede anything that the Watchtower has. So you want to have the financial power of attorney and the medical power of attorney. And I'm certain with a wonderful son and a beloved father that's 80, I'm sure that he wants it to be for his family, and he can get legal advice with the attorney also. But for $150, financial power of attorney and medical power of attorney, they're two separate documents.
Right. Right. What that means is
with my wife right now.
And sir, I've been through it. My mother lived to be 102, and she was with me for 5 more years. A dear friend of mine was pushing the blood paper in my face. I took my to the nurse's station. I said, "May I please have a meeting with the anesthesiologist or team?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Please give her the gold standard of treatment. I'm not in your pay grade to know whether she'll need blood tomorrow or not." And when I got back, those elders were gone. They never took high school chemistry. How dare they tell me about my mother's medical treatment? But my paperwork that I had for medical power of attorney superseded them. And when they tried to take her house, she said, "Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. I knew you not." The house was already in my name with the financial power of attorney. So I've been through it, sir, and I suggest both of those papers for you for about $150. Any attorney can do it. There are attorneys that specialize in elder law, and they would be best, and they would still only charge $150 for both.
And just to add to that, Mark, you would be the person to make the life and death decisions of your father if he, say, for example, went into a coma, and do not resuscitate or do resuscitate. Those are real major decisions. You would need to talk to your father about. Yeah. So actually, he's giving you all the power to be able to make those decisions when he's unable to. Okay. Even if it comes down to the point, say if he's on a respirator, which does the breathing, do you get to a point where the doctors say, okay, there's nothing more we can do, he's in a coma, he's not going to be able to come out of the coma or improve at all, then it's time to pull the plug. That would be for you to decide. That's why it's so important to have this durable power of attorney for healthcare. Now, durable power of attorney for finances has to do with your father's assets, home, car, money, portfolio, jewelry, any of that. And all that has to be done legally in writing, and you keep a copy of that document with you at all times. All times. Women, we carry a purse. You would carry that document in your purse, okay? Because you don't have time to go home and wait and, if it's a life and death situation, you don't have time to run home and go get that. You have to always have it on your person. And you need to know that, honey. That's really important. If your father will allow that, okay, that's the key. So if you have a good relationship with your father,
that's the key.
your mom's not alive, so your dad needs somebody. Your dad needs somebody, honey, since he doesn't have a wife anymore. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's true.
This is Apostle Babe Linda James, and I wanted to ask Mike a question and say something to David. Mike, good to meet you. Were you saying that you have siblings that are still inside of the organization that are Jehovah's Witnesses?
Are you talking to me, Apostle Babe? What did you call me?
Yeah.
Mike, what is your name? Mark?
Mark.
Forgive
Yeah,
me.
I Matthew the Bible, Mark.
Forgive me. I'm so
That's what
sorry,
I about the
Mark.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm out of the org, and I have a sister who's still in the org. So, you know, I heard you talking about your father. He's diehard. Where else can we go?
Yes.
Dave, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but Dave, it is highly unlikely within this culture of Jehovah's Witnesses that he's going to be able to go kick it with his dad and talk him into getting power of attorney over his Jehovah's Witness kids. It's highly unlikely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it might happen. It did with Pixie. She's an only, I mean, she doesn't have any other siblings, and she was there. She showed up there, and, you know, she had a career, and then when she got called back home, she was back home, and the parents knew she was there to caretake and everything. I mean, I don't think he can make sure, like you're suggesting, and I think it's great you brought it up because a lot of people are listening, and a lot of people need to know this information. But I'm not sure that he's in a position to make sure, because he's not a Jehovah's Witness. The fact that his father is still talking to him says he's old school. This is the old school way of being a JW, right?
And not to mention a possibility, something else. My older brother, who is still in it, this is going to be the issue here, which is why I might not have a say so. He is an elder and a regular pioneer, so he might speak on my father's behalf. And my other brother, he's working. He's a ministerial servant, so they might oversee me.
Yeah,
it's highly likely that they're going to pull a different. Like they are in a position of, I want to say rank, not that they're pulling rank, but they're in a higher rank in the eyes of a Jehovah's Witness, a diehard, still an elder person. The fact that he talks to his son here, that's old school, and he's not following the new whatever. You know, he's about the age of my mother too, and there was a time when before, like there used to be a time when people were like they disassociated themselves. And you could talk to anybody who disassociated themselves. And that's what happened with Ray Franz. Right about that time of Ray Franz stepping down as a governing body member, then they changed it to where you could not speak to somebody who was disassociated themselves. And that's what they got him on, and that's how they kicked him out, because he was talking to McGregor, who disassociated himself. They saw somebody at a cafe and said, come on over, because they could talk to somebody who disassociated themselves. But then he got in trouble for it. He's like, why? Then they showed him a new article, okay, which came out after they waved somebody over to talk to them, but that's what they caught him on. So in other words, that was 1980. So his dad's like even old school past, you know, before that is what I'm explaining. And I get that, David, you're saying make sure, but I'm also going, homeboy's not going to be able to make sure. His heart might be in it, but if he wants to make sure he doesn't get talked to anymore, he can go and tell his dad what to do financially. And that's going to make it to where dad's not going to talk to him because the other brothers of his, fleshly brothers, who are in the organization are going to say he's being mischievous or trying to get your money, Dad. It's going to look bad on him. It won't look like... No. It won't look like he's caring for his father, which is why you're suggesting it, Dave. You're suggesting it because you know he does care. I'm just saying the culture, this is what it really looks like, okay? Did I get that about right? Yeah?
Yeah, I think you did.
Go ahead with that, especially with my older brother.
Yeah. So, you know, if he sees something and can bring it up at the time, bring it up at the time, you know. Even like later on, he can run it past his brothers while, you know, maybe dad's having, you know, a tough time. He can run it past his brothers and ask, how's it going to go down, you know. But to start right now and be in his face trying to really convince him, I don't think dad's going to receive it as really caring about him. I think it's going to be, dad's I can tell dad's an independent, even proud man. Like not bad proud, but dignified, a distinguished man. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Let me wrap this up, folks. We're about 10 minutes into Rick's time. How the Watchtower makes its money is this way. What they do is they don't make their money with you coming in. What they expect you to do is to die and leave. That's how the Catholics get real rich. The Catholics told a story of purgatory where you paid the church money for prayers, and that got your loved one out of burning sulfur. And
Purgatory was between hell and heaven.
yeah, but you suffered the pains of being burnt.
Yeah.
Your soul would burn forever. Now the Watchtower.
Was that preparations? Was that called preparations?
Let me finish. The Watchtower does it a little differently. How they get their money is they suggest in all the articles that I've ever read in the Wake magazines and Watchtowers that there was article. I remember reading an article. It said questions from the readers. Dear brothers, we're in our 70s now and expect to be with Christ soon or something like that. And we have a 5-bedroom, 4-bath house. And how can we leave it to the Watchtower? And they tell you exactly how they wrote their own.
That was a question from readers.
Yeah, it's question from readers. It's the first time.
Talk about a setup.
Yeah, the first time I read that, and I wasn't too sharp.
Wow.
I read it. That sounds like a made-up question,
That's a
right?
setup.
They are after any Jehovah's Witness that passed. They want their property. That's how they got their money. Of course, they've made investments in a lot of stuff, buildings and defense contractors and apartment complexes. But really, their bulk of their money comes from Jehovah's Witnesses that die and leave their house to the worldwide witnessing work, which is nothing but a big black hole. And that's where Jeffrey Jackson gets his Bentley. And that's where they all get their Rolex watches. They hide their wealth.
And there's no accountability.
No, that accounts
You
for
don't know
nobody.
where all that money goes, how they spend it. So,
You don't know. Well, we thank
you, everyone.
Yeah.
We ran into Rick's time, so we do have to close. But thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody that chimed in tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for letting me talk.
Thank you.
Spread-
Come back again, Mark. We really love you and everyone else.
Please spread the word to any elderly Jehovah's Witnesses, especially their families. Watch out for the Watchtower coming in and taking the property that you folks should inherit legally and morally.
Right.
Thank you. God bless
Thank you.
everybody.
I
Bye-bye.
also think they want 4 signatures. Be very careful with the elderly and the pen. I was in the room, so the house was already in my name, but she was trying to get my mother to give her a signature.
Yep.
Be very careful.
Yep.
Okay, thanks a lot. Later, you guys. Thank you so much. Dick,
Thank
Constance, and all you all. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Well, Dick and Constance, very good program. Good to hear Mark calling in.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you something. Things are getting better here at the 6 Screens. More and more people are coming in. You had a really good program tonight. I think this was one of your, this was a top program for you guys, getting the viewers coming in. They liked it. A lot of participation, a lot of new ones I'm seeing in the chat, a lot of new ones coming in on the telephone line. Got a lot of people on our telephone radio line. So it's all working. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And we appreciate what you're doing here at the 6 Screens. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rick.
Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, there you go. That's Dick and Constance Boghi. And let me tell you, really, when you stop and think about it, they're a great couple exposing the Watchtower. And that works when you have a man and a woman together talking about the evils and the problems the Watchtowers cause people. It gets a lot of attention. So we want to thank all the new ones coming in. We want to thank all those people listening in. And we have a good audience tonight. I could see it at the very outset that people were coming in early to want to be part of the 6 Screens and want to join in our little community. And we really appreciate all your presence and all those calling in. So we'll end it here. excuse me, and we're going to JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about. So we'll end it here. Stay with us. Stay on this channel.